Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Chris Martorana. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development here at Fotokite. Hey, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to join us. So this type of presentation it's very short. It's to the point. We want to be respectful of your time. So we're just going to go over the product. Hopefully, you leave here with a good understanding of what Fotokite is, how it works. And then my goal really is to leave some room at the end for some questions so we can get all of those answered. So at any point during the day or during this presentation, just leave a question in the chat and I'll get to those at the very end. And at the end, if you want to get in touch with anyone at Fotokite for maybe your direct manager in your area, I can certainly get you in touch with that person. So just feel free to include all of that in the chat below. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to really quickly introduce Fotokite, explain to you all what an ATUAS is. So that's really the important thing I want you all to understand. We'll touch on some of these applications, use cases, and then after that, I'm going to show a very quick, kind of exterior view of the hardware, and then we'll do a live demo afterwards, and again, questions and answers. So Fotokite, we are an international company. We are located in Zurich, Switzerland, and also Boulder, Colorado, USA. So we have some of the smartest minds in the engineering and the sales and marketing side of things, located all over the world. We are just about most of the states in the US and all over Europe. So again, just let us know and we'll get you in touch with that right person. But we have been in the market since 2014, and now we have over 600 deployments globally. So this product is tried, it's tested, it's true. So it's been out there. There's tons of references of customers that can really tell you how this is a game-changing product for them. So let's talk a little bit more about what is an ATUAS. So the important takeaway that I want you to have here is this is it's a new classification of drones. So in 2018, the FAA did a reauthorization. They created this new classification. And in order to meet that classification, there's a very short list of people that are on that list. It's so short, in fact, that Fotokite is synonymous with an ATUAS. So there's the weight requirements. There's a max height requirement, 45 meters or 150 feet, must be fully attached to a ground station and powered by that ground station and fully controlled through that tether. So there has to be automated safety features built in and must maintain stability. So it's a very unique product. This is not a replacement of a free-flying drone. This is just another tool, and it's a different classification. So the benefits of this type of classification is it's really the enhanced safety. So the tether acts as a physical safeguard. It mitigates risk of flyaways, uncontrolled descents, as a piloting free operation, so totally autonomous, and as an elimination of redundant controls. And that's thanks to that tether. So the other big takeaway is the unlimited flight time. So this system will fly for as long as you need it to. We actually had it in the air for over a month without landing, 37.5 days. So it's a testament to the uniqueness of this classification of UAS. The other advantage is that real-time situational awareness. So that tether, it's constantly providing power to this system, but it's also a transmission of controls. So you're not going to be dependent on remotely transmitted video and controls. And so it really takes away that redundancy. You can operate this in a GPS independent environment. So it can be rapidly deployed in just about 15 seconds or less, depending on the configuration you have. So there's that. And then really for public safety operators, the enhanced flexibility and the operational freedom that you have is the other big takeaway. So last year, the FAA had a reauthorization that allowed anyone pertaining to public safety, so volunteer fire, career fire, law enforcement, and all the way up to the federal space, anyone under that broad umbrella of public safety, you do not need a Part 107 or COA to fly this. You can also fly this in zero grid airspace as long as it's an emergency or life-threatening situations. So that includes urban areas or near airports. You don't need to get permission. You just need to notify an FAA tower when and where you're taking off. That's it. You don't need to wait for permission. So it just, all those exemptions give those public safety operators a ton of flexibility. So these are some of the use cases. So everything from Department of Transportation to fire departments, to private security, law enforcement, as I'd mentioned, federal, DoD. These are what we have listed here are just some of the more common applications, but we're constantly learning new different applications. We learned that from you guys in the field. It's any time that you are in need of something that can fly for a long period of time, where you don't have that bottleneck of a UAS pilot. You want to use that UAS pilot for that free flying drone. This just gives that extra flexibility for anyone within your department to deploy, get that situational awareness, and easily share data and information. So anytime that is a scenario that makes sense, that is a great application for an ATUAS or a Fotokite. So we make, as I mentioned, we manufacture actively tethered UASs or Fotokite systems. What you see here, this is our rooftop box. This is our flagship product. So this is DC powered on a vehicle. All of these kites that you see in these three configurations, they're the same kite. It's the same product, just different configurations, powered a little bit differently. So again, that rooftop box, it's DC powered by that vehicle. The vehicle has to be on. You click start, the shell opens up and it's ready to deploy. The transport case, that's the more mobile option. So you can easily pass this between people. You just need a power source. Many people use an inverter, they'll use a generator, or if available, you can just plug it right into a wall. And that's really where you get that constant power from. Tray mount, that's more of a customized type of situation, not as common. Maybe you're buying a command post or a fire engine or something like that, and you want to include a Fotokite system in one of the trays. That's when that would make sense. Again, not as common. Definitely the rooftop box and the transport case. Those are the configurations that you're going to see much more commonly in the field. But they all do the same thing, just powered a little bit differently, depending on what makes sense for your department. Okay, so what I'm going to do is expand this screen. For those of you who do not have much experience with Fotokite, this is just a 1-minute video that's going to give you a feel for what the exterior hardware looks like. So here we go. This is going to be the transport case. So you roll up on scene, pop the top off, plug it in, and it's ready to go. So as soon as the system is ready to go, you take your tablet. You can use your own tablet, an iOS or Android, or a Fotokite provided tablet, and it's ready to go. So this is just a view from the command tablet, depending on what type of tablet it is. And then finally the RTB. So this is the one I mentioned that's mounted on top of the vehicle. Push a button, the lids or the shell opens up, and it's ready to deploy. This is really great for that rapid deployment. You arrive on scene and the system is ready to fly. So again, this is the command tablet view. So in just a moment, we're gonna go over a much more in-depth virtual demo so you can get a feel for what the controls are like. All right, so here we go. So on the bottom right, when you have the tablet, you just press start, and then in just a few seconds, the system will go up to about 1 meter, about 5 feet, giving you an opportunity to look for any obstructions or anything that would be in the way. But if you want to control the rotation of the kite, what you can do is just rotate or slide those arrows to the left and to the right. And then for altitude control, what you're going to do is take that that blue arrow, and you can slide that up and down. Now, when you want to orient that camera, all you need to do is just double tap on that screen. So now we're going to slide it up to about 45 feet. And then what I'm going to show you is up here, you'll see where it says limit max height. You just click that, and you can actually slide this down and limit that max height on the system. So maybe you are in some type of airspace where you can't go over 100 feet. That's when it would make sense to do this. Also, maybe you are flying in a area where there's a lot of obstructions. You don't want someone to pick up the tablet, fly it into a bridge or something like that. You could easily manage that way. So again, now we're sliding up to 100 feet. I'll go up to that max height here in just a minute, but you can see how quickly the system will actually go up to that max height. So again, you just double tap on that screen. I always find it easier to orient the camera, especially when it's zoomed in, to just double tap. What you'll see here is that blue dot. That is your joystick. It's very easy. It does the same exact thing. When you're zoomed out, I like the joystick. You can just slide that around, and the system will automatically orient itself to where you are sliding this blue dot or joystick right here. So for the thermal, if you want the inverse, you just tap this picture-in-picture display. Very simple. You can even move it out of the way. You can slide it. You can slide it completely off the screen if you just want that color camera equally with the thermal camera. We actually just upgraded our thermal resolution, so it's actually a lot better. But for zooming, just like on your phone, you would just use your fingers to zoom in, to zoom out, just pinch in, pinch out. Or you can use this zoom interface, which is located right here. Just tap that plus button to zoom in, or that minus button to zoom out. So very intuitive, very simple. When you have this in your hands, it really, you don't really need to think about it. And that is by design. That was what we were going for. So you can amplify the screen if you don't want to see the other controls. And so it's very simple. That is really it. Altitude, rotation, camera orientation, just using that joystick and double tapping on the screen. That is really it. If you have never held one of these in your hands, it would take you probably a couple minutes to be very comfortable with operating the system. And again, that's so that you don't have to think about what you're doing. You can do your job without thinking about how to pilot this system. So that's really what we were going for with the design here. What I'll show you now is the blue vertical dots, or the white vertical dots in the blue button here. You can turn on a thermal picker or thermal max temperature settings. And you can also see the color palette. We have 10 different thermal color palettes. You just kind of slide that to see the options. But on that thermal picker, you can slide and detect the exact temperature of where you slide that thermal picker. Also, the max temp setting will tell you the hottest thing on the screen. So a lot of uses for that would be a structure fire. You're trying to figure out where the seat of the fire is at maybe at night in a large structure, or maybe it's a search and rescue or missing person situation. Max temp setting will lock onto the human skin temperature, especially if it's in a rural area. Where here you could see you're picking up heat from the street, from buildings. So it just depends on the application, really. All right, so now I'm going to move forward to the video library. So if you want to go to the video library, you just click, this is where your main menu is. This is where you can find everything. You just click video library, and you'll see all of these videos right here. So what you'll notice is, or what I can tell you is that the video footage is actually stored onto the ground station itself. So what you're doing here is, by clicking that, you're downloading it to the tablet, and you have 24 hours of video footage, but without deleting anything. So plenty of footage there, or storage there. And it just takes about a few seconds to download, whether it's the color or the thermal or both. You can just download it, upload it to a cloud or to a USB, and you're ready to go. So that's your video library. Now on the left here, you'll see that there's another arrow. That's called your backtracking slider. So if you forgot to record by pushing that red button right there, and you say, hey, I saw something 5 minutes ago, or 10 minutes ago, or 7 minutes ago, or whatever, the system will always record the last 30 minutes of every flight duration. So it will just always have that last 30 minutes there for you to go to. So you just slide down to 5, that's 5 minutes ago, etc. And you slide it back to now, and then you are live again. So the last feature I want to show you is our live streaming feature. I think this is one of the coolest things that we do. You just click that live stream button. You see this QR code pops up. So anybody standing next to the person holding the tablet can scan that QR code, immediately gain access to the live stream. And that person that just scanned it can even text that link to anyone that they want access to this live stream. They can gain immediate access. Alternatively, you can share this URL with anyone in the world, and they just put in this 6-digit passcode, and they also can gain access. Another thing that we just added is a remote control feature. So we just added this. We're always adding new things and features for our customers. But what this means is 50 plus people can be live streaming, and you have control on who's on there, who can see it, and they can request control of the kite, and you can pass that control to the person on the live stream. They can have full control remotely from a command post or from anywhere to see what they need to see in that type of situation. And as the operator, you have full control to kick them off, regain control. Very simple to use. So that's called Fotokite Remote Control. That's a new feature that we have. So in the last thing, you click the land button when you're done. Don't need to worry about aligning the system. You don't need to worry about any of that. You just click land and you're good. It'll come down, it'll descend, it'll align itself to the ground station. From that max height of 150 feet, it'll take about roughly a little bit less than 60 seconds, less than a minute to come down. I always hear that most folks are operating this system at about 70, 80 feet. It just really depends on the department and the application, of course. So that is my virtual demo. I told you it was going to be short. Let's see if we have any questions. So let me stop sharing the screen here. Yeah, feel free to add any questions if you have any here. Okay, so the question is, how many QR codes can you share? So you can actually share that with our new upgrade. About 50 or more people can view that live stream. So some departments even can, they'll even set it to where like the URL is always the passcode to the URL is always the same. But as long as the person has that QR code and someone is there to scan it, they can text this or send it to as many people as they need to. So we haven't really had an issue with having too many folks live streaming at once. So we got another question. This is a great one. How many units can you control with one tablet? So the way that it works is one tablet will control a system at a time. So if there are, let's say there's 3 or 4 tablets and there's one system, the person controlling the system can hand control to another tablet. And it's just the click of a couple of buttons. So you just say, it just says release control, and the system will continue flying. And then another tablet that is connected to the system can just take control quite easily. So that's another way of doing it. Okay, so we have another good question here. Someone asked, what is the max altitude where the Fotokite can operate? So the max altitude is 150 feet or 45 meters. So the reason why that is really to meet FAA requirements, as well as some other requirements internationally. It's obviously different in every country. But in order to remain in that special classification of ATUAS, or actively tethered unmanned aerial system, that max height has to be 150 feet or less. So we've got another question here. So the tablet is not pairing to a single unit. Yes, the tablet, there's one tablet controlling a unit at a time, unless you're using that remote control feature that I was using. So when it comes to a tablet, it's one tablet per unit at a time. So you can't have, in other words, you can't have 2 or 3 tablets controlling one unit. It's one person controlling the system at a time. The operator, the person with the tablet connected to the Fotokite system, has full control as the who remotely through the live stream has control of the system. So it's all control. It's all about the person with control with the tablet has that ability to control that. We've got another great question here. Can the camera lock on individual objects for tracking vehicles, patients, et cetera, et cetera? The answer is yes. We have a thing called ODRT that we're actually developing this still. I've seen it. We've used it. It's not something that we're talking about commercially, but if there's a department that wants this feature, we can talk kind of offline about how we can integrate that. So that the object detection that you're referring to is actually something that Fotokite has developed. We are exploring some other, API integrations where, we're using external third-party software that could also, do those types of things, tracking, crowd counting, vehicle counting, things like that. Those are things that we're always exploring. So we're always looking at different ways of making this product better. But specifically, James, the object tracking is something that actually Fotokite has developed. But there are some things that we are improving on. So we can certainly talk offline if that is something that your department is interested in. We have another question. How does the Fotokite system operate in jammed environment for defense and surveillance environment? That's a really good question. So being a tethered system, things like like D-drone, like frequency jamming does not affect the Fotokite system. So just because the controls are through that tether, there's no impact on the system in that way. Now, I will say though, I'm sure that there are things that maybe I'm not aware of that could potentially, interfere with the system. Like for example, there could be some magnetic interference, whether that's intentional, unintentional. That has happened. It's pretty rare, and so really that closed loop tether system really does a good job protecting against those types of threats. Certainly much more protection than your standard free flying drone. So we have another question. The tablet could be Android or iOS, and should I need to download the app? And can you share credentials to pair the tablet with the unit? That's a great question. The licensing for the software, if you have a Fotokite system, we don't charge for that software. You could find Fotokite on the Apple Store and on the Android store. You just look up Fotokite Live and it'll pop up, and then you can actually download that software or that app, and you can connect the tablet, whether it's iOS or Android, to the system very easily. So it's like I said, you can just look that up yourself and you could find that. But it works best on iOS or Android if you're not using a Fotokite supplied tablet. We got another really good question. For the latest version, is it applicable to fly the drone while driving? And if yes, up to what speed? So the answer is no, you can't with this configuration. This is a common request that we get, especially more with our federal customers. What happens is if you are flying our kite especially with the vehicle integration, and you start driving off with it, the system will detect movement. It'll detect that there's movement and it'll automatically land. There have been people that it's been flying for so long that sometimes they forget about it, and they'll just start driving off. The system will automatically detect that and come down. So that's a safety feature that's built in. So equally, and this is common, you forget that it's flying and you turn off the car. And so what that does is it cuts power to the system. The system does not fall out of the sky. It has backup batteries built in for those types of scenarios. So so when you cut power, whether you unplug it with the transport case or you turn off the power with the RTB, the system will remain in the air flying, but will automatically come down. Now, what I will say, Omar, is we are looking at a future generation of Fotokite that for special applications, special customers that would want to use this while a vehicle or whatever vessel is moving, we are looking into that. But with the current configurations, we don't, that's actually, we find that as a safety risk, so we don't do that. Okay, so another good question. How wide of a perimeter can the Fotokite fly to provide a perimeter view of the scene? So, James, the way I think about it is kind of think about the system as a giant pole camera, a 150-foot pole camera with full control. So this system it doesn't pan, it just yaws, so it rotates. So you might have some high winds, and being IP55 rated, this tough machine can fly in a lot of different elements, a lot of different weather conditions. And the kite can drift to the side, to the right, to the left, forward and back. It can, but what it's doing is it's always correcting itself to remain on top of that ground station. And it's using a combination of technology, whether it's a sensor, it uses an omnidirectional sensor underneath of the tether to the kite. So when it detects movement to one side, it's going to keep correcting itself to stay over the ground station. So that's kind of the easiest way to think about it. And that's why this is not a replacement of a free-flying drone. An ATUAS or Fotokite is designed to fly for long periods of time, give you that reliable connectivity through that tether, that constant power for long periods of time. But you should also I always tell departments they should have that free-flying drone too. It's a different tool. This is a different, just a different application, but it's a great complement with the free-flying drone. I hope that answers your question. Okay, I'll wait about 10 seconds for another question. Don't be shy. Feel free to drop it in here. And if not, no problem. Just send me your email or here in the chat if you guys want anyone to contact you and get you in touch with the right person, get you all of the information that you need. But again, I just want to thank everybody for their time. This was really great. And again, if you want something more in depth, a more in-depth demonstration, just let me know and I'd be more than happy to do that. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great day.